Hey everybody, 3 Drinks Down, I'm Nate.
I'm James.
And today we've got a heavyweight battle for you.
Today we're super excited to bring you something a little new to the channel, but not new to the whole ether of WhiskeyTube. This is what some people would call a flight fight, or a blind. We're taking 4 barrel-proof bourbons, and we're putting them right against each other. So, the lineup. We got Larceny barrel-proof C922. 126.6 proof. We've got Staves and Grain. So this is MGP sourced whiskey. This is a pick from Wine and Whiskey Cellars. 123.4 proof.
Up next, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof C922, coming in at 124.8 proof. And lastly, but not leastly, Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof Select 64.9% alcohol, 129.8 proof for those of you that can't do math as quickly, because I can't. We have 2 Heaven Hill products, and we have 2 single barrel products from other places.
Right.
That's why we're not calling this like a barrel proof battle or whatever. It's the main thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's different enough, right? I mean, there's 2 similarities between the 2 Heaven Hill products, but beyond that, it's got MGP sourced and then, Tennessee whiskey.
We have Tennessee, Indiana, and Kentucky represented here. So I don't know what else. The proof range is all very close, all within 5 proof points.
Right, we want to make sure that was within that 5 proof points, just to make sure it was a fair fight, as fair as it can be.
You know what else would be fair?
Yeah, I do actually.
It'd be really fair if you would think about liking the video. If you do. If you dislike it, go ahead and hit that thumbs down. I won't hate you for it. It is what it is. Also, leave us a comment about what your favorite barrel strength whiskey is.
There's a lot of them out there.
Doesn't really matter what kind.
Yeah.
And then of course, if you're feeling really, really magnanimous, please, please, please subscribe.
Thanks.
Cheers.
All right, we're gonna get right into this and come back with the results. Be right back.
Do you like this format? Would you like to see more of us actually doing the tasting? Because we wrestled with that when we made this video. We said, do they want to see a little bit of B-roll of us doing the tasting and things like that? We just felt we wanted to keep it short for you to get this out, but we'd love for you to help us guide our content on where this is gonna go. And we did the damn thing and we're back. So we're gonna give you our order. We're gonna have to read some notey notes here, so apologies. We'll try to make some eye contact again where we can, but we'll do our best. I'm gonna jump in first and start from bottom to top and tell you that unfortunately, the good folks in Tennessee, Jack Daniel's came in last on this particular one for me. There is obviously the huge banana notes you get in Jack Daniel's. There is a banana bread to the taste. It just goes a bit too far into that, some of that little bit of weirdness for me on the banana. I hate to bring up these terms because I would tell you, if James were to buy me a pour of this at a bar, I'd happily accept it. It was still a very good whiskey, but it just went a little far and almost gave me that chemical, or some might say, should I say it? I should say it. Some would say it might give you that urinal cake kind of smelly type thing. Whatever, it is what it is. That's how I feel about it. Number 3 for me was Staves and Grain. Perfectly serviceable bourbon. Wonderful taste. I felt it was right there with Jack Daniel's. I really didn't have a lot of notes except big peanut butter expression for me. Came across on the nose. And then also followed through on the palate with a short. It probably had the least amount of mouthfeel. But at the same time, the Jack Daniel's, I just couldn't overcome that taste. That's why I made that differentiation between 2 and 3. So that leaves the top 2, and obviously they're both the Heaven Hill products, and I said Larceny at number 2, ECBP at number 1. The biggest differentiation for me was the ECBP just went bigger, and it was just a huge expression and beautiful, just everything about it to me. Came out, obviously, I got some florals, there was some difference in sweetness levels, pretty marked difference that was definitely one of the factors there. And the mouthfeel on ECBP and length of the hug was a little bigger. That said, I'm here to tell you that I think if I was sitting down to have a pour where I was just planning to enjoy it over an hour and maybe not be less rushed, the Larceny is an excellent pour. I've got to be very happy with that. So let's jump over to James and see where he landed.
My number 4 was not Jack Daniel's. Surprise, surprise.
Look at the shirt. I mean, come on.
Listen, it was not premeditated, I promise. It's really funny, that I'm wearing this shirt right now. It may seem like I'm a, homer for Jack Daniel's, but while I do like Jack Daniel's, it was simply a matter of taste. But number 4 was, in fact, Nate's number 1. Pretty wild. So to be fair here, I will preface this with the fact that all of these whiskeys to me are pretty close. You know, I really do enjoy that ECBP pour and have enjoyed ECBP in the past. I think my biggest thing was that it was a little more tannic, a little less sweet, and my palate prefers sweetness. So I kind of push it last. It does make sense that it was the most tannic of the four because it is the oldest. It is age stated at 12 years, and that's actually considerably older than the other three. So at number 3 is the Staves and Grain. So Nate and I are aligned here with that one. A great product, but again, would agree with Nate. The mouthfeel not as rich, not as big, not as full. I at first thought it was actually a high rye based on the spiciness of the nose, but actually felt that was really tempered in the flavor, and had some decent sweetness to it, which I also really enjoyed. Number 2 is Larceny. Really enjoyed it. I will also say this, that Larceny pick, if Jack didn't exist, now you obviously know that Jack Daniels is number 1 for me. If that didn't exist, it would, just because Jack is such an outlier, it would have been number 1 for me. It was basically like if you took all the great qualities from ECBP and it was just a little bit sweeter. You know, the one thing I'll give it, the slight knock, which you could see that, is that ECBP had a bigger mouthfeel. You know, that was and that makes sense with the age, you know? So I think it's all just personal preference at this point. And Jack Daniels, I just really like banana bread. And that's what that pour was for me. Just big old banana bread, peanuts, just really nice and interesting. But such a big outlier, especially considering the other 3 were so similar across the board, which is why I thought it was interesting.
We sat and talked off camera about this. We said, okay, after we did our tasting and all that, we said, this is wild. How are we opposite on 1 and 4? And James just hit it really hard there on that point. And the point is, Jack Daniels kind of went wreckers or checkers here, right? It was like you either go to that point where banana people can stand it, and it just went a little too big for me. That's okay. It's all right. I generally love Jack Daniels products for that. This one just went a little too far, and that's okay. And it dropped at the bottom for me. But margin of error there is razor thin.
Right, so Nate and I totally agreed on the middle, and we were flipped on 1 and 4, which is pretty unusual. But why don't you guys grab yourself some of these if you can? Maybe do your own flight fight and tell us what you think when you have those findings. Because really, blinds make everything on an even playing field, and you really find out what you like, what you get out of certain things, and you take that bias out of the equation. You take those blinders off, and it's honestly really revealing at times.
Did you just say you take blinders off for a blind?
Correct.
You just said you take blinders off for a blind.
Yeah.
I like it. I get what you're saying.
Absolutely. And full disclosure on how we did the tasting, it was obviously completely blind, 1 through 4, and we didn't really talk to each other at all. We wrote down our notes for each one, and then we ranked them, and then we revealed to each other, and then kind of found out where we were.
And that's how we brought this flight fight to you.
To you.
And to you.
To you.
And to me.
And me.
And him.
And him.
Bye.